Nani pa? May ka? Lipat pa, yun na sa dulo. Lipat yung pare-pareho. Malakas pa? Ayaw. Okay, good morning friends and guests. Welcome to Friday Night At wala pa yung TV crew. Dahil yung isa tumawag sa akin, nasa forum daw ng ni Wilson Torres sa Kamuning. Pero from there, darating dito. Pero kanina, start sa akin ni Jimmy, meron daw grupo na nandiyan sa Quezon City ngayon. Kaya, wala. But anyway, tama-tama na lamang. Sa ambush interview na lang sila. At the moment, ay dalawa yung guest natin. Natatraffic lang si Boy Pangilista ng BACC. Pero nandito yung napaka-importante ng ating fighter.
Yes.
Without Attorney Levy Maligod, ay hindi natin malalaman yung kalokohan ng mga PDAP at DAP na ito. At sabi ko sa kanya kanina ay i-focus niya lang dito ang kanyang kampanya. Ay siguradong panalo na. Panalo na sa pasok na sa 12. Okay, bigyan mo nga kami update Manong Levy sa campaign sortie mo, sa many other issues like West Philippine Sea. Kung ano pa yung mga ibang problema ng ngayon ay lumalabas na yung perang PDAP at DAP ay meron palang bago. Aldo ba yun? Aldo. Sige please.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat at salamat muli sa pagkakataon ito kay Eric at sa mga katuwang natin sa media na nangangalaga sa kapakanan ng ating bansa. Brief summary on the status of the PDAP scam investigation. Ano po ang naihain sa Sandigan Bayan, pero mas marami pa rin ang nakabinbin sa Office of the Ombudsman. At kung mapapansin po ninyo, ay 8 buwan na ang nakakalipas mula nung isinampa yung third batch sa Office of the Ombudsman, pero hindi pa nagaganap ang preliminary investigation. Maliban po sa PDAP scam expose, gusto ko pong ipaabot sa inyo na ipinagpatuloy ko ang pagsasaliksik sa iba't ibang mga pondo na sa tingin ko ay inabuso rin ng ating mga opisyal. Kaya po natin nakita itong Malampaya Fund Scam. Pagkatapos ng Malampaya Fund Scam ay na-discover natin itong ASEP Fund Scam o yung Agriculture Competitiveness Enhancement Fund. Na-discover din natin itong Livestock Enhancement Development Program Fund Scam, yung Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act Fund Scam, no? At marami pa pong iba na ninanakaw nila. Kaya po sa kabuuan, I was able to file complaints against a former President of the Republic, against 2 former Senate Presidents, against 1 former Speaker of the House, against 4 Cabinet Secretaries, including the former Executive Secretary, 45 Congressmen, Directors, Undersecretaries, etc. I assure you that I am not trying to collect enemies, much less powerful enemies. No? Kailangan ko lang gawin ito dahil gusto kong makambag sa layunin natin na mabasag ang sense of impunity ng ating mga opisyal. The sense of impunity of our officials in committing graft and corruption napakataas na. Sa survey na ginawa ng University of Mexico, the Philippines topped the impunity index. And the recent result of the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, the Philippines is laid down to 10 notches. Bumagsak ng 10 notches ang Philippines. Kailangan po talaga nating labanan ng corruption. Yung na-accomplish natin sa pag-expose ng PDAP scam, nabaliwala po actually. Dahil pagkatapos na mabura natin ang PDAP at saka DAP, lalong lumaki po yung pork barrel fund. Noong nakaraang taon, 2015, ang total pork barrel fund was 1.6 trillion pesos. 1.6 trillion pesos. Officially, if you look at the General Appropriations Act of 2015, dapat 502 billion pesos lang ang pork barrel fund. Pero pagdating ng July, nag-declare ng savings na 1.1 trillion. So kaya naging 1.6 trillion ang pork barrel. But the year before that, 2014, ang total pork barrel was 918 billion. So you will notice that compared with the PDAP regime and the post-PDAP regime, lumalaki ang pork barrel fund. And tingnan po ninyo yung evil ng pork barrel system. No? The pork barrel system actually puts public funds in the hands of politicians na nabibigyan sila ng opportunity na nakawin ito. And we know that public funds are supposed to be for the people. So let's do some simple mathematics. 1.6 trillion, for example. I have gone through several provinces already. And it did not escape my attention that so many of our countrymen are unable to eat rice for several days. Ang kinakain lamang po nila ay kamoteng kahoy, kamote, gabi, boiled banana. At ang pinakamasakit po na na-discover ko when I visited several places in Eastern Mindanao, ang mga kababayan natin doon ay kumakain ng lami. Lami is a root crop that looks like a gabi, pero may tinik-tinik ito at poisonous. You know what our countrymen do?
How do you spell it?
L-A-M-I ang tawag nila. Ang ginagawa po nila sa lami, binabalatan nila, hinihiwa nila ng maninipis, ibinababad sa running water overnight, and then binibilat sa araw bago nila makain. Huwag na tayong lumayo dito sa Metro Manila. You see some of our countrymen getting food from the waste of others.
Mga restaurants.
Oo, mga basura, galing sa basura ng iba. Marami tayong mga kababayan na natutulog sa ilalim ng tulay, sa gilid ng daan. No? Pero tingnan po ninyo ang pork barrel. Balikan natin. If you provide 1 sack of rice for every family, monthly, for 1 year, you will only spend 380 billion pesos.
For 1 year.
380 billion for 1 year. So, pwede po ninyong ilista at isuma total natin mamaya. Now, second, pag ilibre mo ang hospital services and medicines sa public hospitals, you will only spend 311 billion pesos. Bakit ko po narating yung estimate na yan? Presently, we have 4 levels of hospitals. We have the first level, the district hospitals. The third level is the provincial hospitals. The second level, the regional hospitals. And the first level are the specialty hospitals like heart center, lung center, kidney institute, etc. No? Ang isang district hospital, ang average na pondo niyan ay 25 to 50 million a year. Ang provincial hospital, 75 million up to 250 million a year. Ang regional hospitals, umaabot lang yan ng 300, 400 million a year. Ang gawin po natin, 500 million na lang lahat ang bawat hospital na yan. From the 25 million sa district, gawin mong 500 million. Ang total lang po niyan, aabot ng 300 something billion lang. Okay. If you make public education free from grade 1 to 4th year college, you will only spend 120 billion pesos. If you increase the salaries of government employees, we have 1.2 strong public sector employment, 1.2. Bigyan mo na yan ng 100,000 pesos na increase across the board. 120 billion lamang po yan. Okay? Ano ba po? Senior citizens, halimbawa, humihingi ng 2,000. Bigyan mo ng 10,000 ang 10 million na senior citizens natin. 100 billion pesos yan. Ano ba ang mga kailangan ng ating mga mamamayan? No? Isuma total nyo, no? So, health, education, senior citizens, public sector employment. Wala pa pong 800 billion yan eh. Wala pa sa kalahati ng pork barrel na ibinibigay natin sa kamay ng mga mambabatas. Isa pa pong importante pwede nating paggamitan. Do you know that our forest cover at present is only 11% of our, 18% of our land area? Way below the ideal 60% forest cover that ecologists recommend. So, to recover our 60% forest cover, we can provide 2 million pesos for every barangay, mandate every barangay to determine a forest zone. No? Yung 2 million a year per barangay will only total 80 billion pesos. We have 40,000 barangays.
42.
40,028 to be exact. No? That's only 80 billion. I-add nyo po yan. Wala po sa 900 billion lahat. Pero hindi natin nararamdaman. Bakit po? Because the pork barrel system actually gives the funds to officials, not to the public. No? Napaka-anomalous po na situation. We have Filipinos who do not find the need to bring their patients to hospitals dahil wala silang pambayad. Maraming mga kabataan na gustong mag-aral, hindi makapag-aral kasi wala silang pambayad sa college, no? Yun po yung anomaly. That's why I decided to participate in this political exercise with a singular vision to abolish the pork barrel system and allocate the funds to the programs that I earlier mentioned. Education, health, assistance to farmers, protection of our environment, better benefits for our public employees, better services for our senior citizens. Yun po ang pwedeng paglaanan dyan. And I find the continued observance of the pork barrel system by the present administration as an admission that it has no plans or programs. Kasi ang nilagay lang nila sa budget, unallocated lump sum. Naglagay sila ng pera na wala silang sinasabing paggagamitan. Di ba? It is an admission of the shortage of management capability, planning, etc. Yun po ang status ng pinaglalaban natin, ano? Yung pork barrel system. Nabanggit niyo po kanina yung West Philippine Sea. Okay.
Kasi ganito, no? Ang threat ng gera ay maliwanag na anytime it can happen. Lalong-lalo na maraming flashpoints, not only in the Middle East, not only in Russia, but also here in the South China Sea. And I believe na anytime magkakabalatan dyan between Vietnam and China. So, ewan ko lang kung ano assessment mo.
Okay, I think with all humility, I think the government has misread the intentions of China and that the government's effort to diffuse tension there is inadequate. Let me go back to the first, no? Why I claim that the government is misreading China. Let us understand first why China is doing what it is doing now. Let us remember that deep in the psyche of the Chinese people is their sentiment against the so-called century of humiliation. Because for 2 millennia, 2,000 years, China was known to her people as the Middle Kingdom. Meaning, ito ang pinakasentro ng mundo. Okay? But beginning in 1839 up to 1945, lahat na ng powerful countries in-invade ang China. You have the Dutch, the British, the French,
Japanese.
the Japanese, the Americans, no? Kaya nasabi sa isip nila na hindi na dapat maulit ito. Kaya ang tawag nila dyan yung century of humiliation. Yan ang ayaw nilang mangyari. Now, ang China po ngayon, nagdedepende sa energy niya, yung energy supply from the Middle East. And 70% of the energy requirement of China passes through the Persian Gulf, no? Dito sa Indian Ocean, passes through the Malacca Strait before going through the China Sea, no? To China. Ang problema kasi ng China ay natatakot sila doon sa ginagawa ng Amerika na mahilig economic embargo at saka naval blockade. Kaya kung sinarhan ng Amerika ang Malacca Strait na yan, tapos na sila. Okay. Then China tried to solve that problem by constructing a road in the Tibetan Plateau from Russia, no? Kaya nagkagera pa noon ang India at saka China, no? Para maagaw nila yung portion na yon na may mataanan sila for the natural gas. Pero nuclear power ang India din. So, to solve the Malacca dilemma na tawag nila, nakita nila na dito sa Spratlys, the fossil fuel deposit, including natural gas, is 5 times the deposit of oil and natural gas in the Middle East. So, ang nasa isip ngayon ng China, kung mapapasa atin itong resources na yan, wala na tayong problema sa Malacca Strait kasi nandyan na yung resources. Okay. Kaya po, in 1997, sinugod nila ang Paracel Islands, pinatay nila ang 67 na Vietnamese soldiers para makuha nila yung Paracels, and hoping that the Paracel Islands will create a new EEZ of 200 nautical miles para umabot sila ng umabot sa Spratlys. Okay? Ganyan po sila kadesidido. Now, ang approach ng government natin, dalawa. Una, it established a military alliance with the United States, Japan, no? And now with Vietnam. Aside from the military alliance, nagre-rely na lang ang government sa resulta ng UNCLOS, yung arbitration, yung under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas. Yung dalawa lang yun ang approaches ng government. I strongly suggest that the government at this time should consider a bilateral talk with China. Ano po yung pwedeng subject ng bilateral talk? Ang subject lang po ay to assure China that if China will respect our ownership of this practice, priority ang China na masuplayan ng energy requirements niya. No? Kung masusunod po yan, China will recover its status as a respected member of the community of nations. Sasabihin, hindi siya nang aagaw ng lupa. And at the same time, yung Pilipinas naman will benefit economically. Dahil yung maha-harvest natin na energy sa Spratlys ay ibebenta rin natin sa China. Kasi yun lang naman po ang ayaw na mangyari ng China. Yung you strangle China's economy by depriving it of the energy that it needs. Kung isigurado natin ang supply sa China, there will be no more source of insecurity on the part of the Chinese people. And with a caveat, no? Dahil sinubukan naman ng Pilipinas na makipag-negotiate bilaterally with China. Pero naloko tayo twice. Nung una, in 1994, sinabi ng China na kung aatras kayo sa isla na yan, aatras din kami. Pero ang ginawa, umatras tayo, sumugod sila. No? In 2012, Ano yung malapit sa Zambales na isla? Nakalimutan ko.
Masinlok.
Masinlok. Hindi, yung isla. Masinlok.
Mischievous.
Ha? Scarborough. Okay, in 2012, ang request ng premier ng China noon, yung foreign ministry nila, i-request nila ang US na i-request ang Pilipinas na umatras sa Mischief Reef para aatras din sila. And the United States, acting as an honest broker, called up our president na iatras. Umatras tayo. Anong ginawa ng China? Sumugod sila. No? So, yun ang nagiging disappointment ng government when dealing with the foreign ministry of China. But again, as I said earlier, let us not misread China. If you understand the structure and the internal dynamics of China, what dictates the foreign policy of China is not actually the foreign ministry, but the Chinese People's Liberation Army.
The military arm.
So, kung may bilateral talks, our government should demand that the top brass of the People's Liberation Army should be sitting across the negotiating table. So, yun po ang intindi ko dyan sa West Philippine Sea.
Thank you, Manong Filipino. Pero with this new development, do sa US Summit, you will be shocked about the report. The report is China will reclaim the Philippines. It's all here now. So, paano gagawin natin dyan? And coming from Manong Levy Baligon, it's not the Chinese police controlling China now, it's the People's Liberation Army, the military arm. And that was also the reason why the meeting was held in the US without China. So it's really worrisome. Plus, yung mga trajectory ng mga missile ng China, including yung mga kakampi nila, nakaporma. Kaya yung mga ibang supposed to be half-half pro-US, pro-China, ay nag-change ng mind. So, it's really worrisome. So, I hope na hindi matuloy ang gera. Sana, sana. Kasi yung timetable of World War na dapat September pagagawin ay mukhang mapapaaga. So, it's up to us to pray harder regarding this matter. Okay, sige, any question?
Mahala na siya po sa
Robert.
The Chinese are used to Sun Tzu typing, no? When weak appear to be strong, when strong appear to be weak, and vice versa. It's all, what they're doing to us right now. So,
Ang China po kasi, the beauty of China is that they have a very long vision, no?
Yes.
In fact, it is only China that has a 100-year and a 200-year plan. They can fix their sight at a target for as long as 200 years. Yun nga po, intindihin natin mabuti ang China, bakit niya ginagawa ito. And the ultimate question is, will China rise peacefully? No? That is the ultimate question. To some, they say that China will not rise peacefully. And they forward the argument that China has been building up her military capability for so long. No? In fact, at present, the missile inventory of China is greater than the combined missile inventory of Russia and the United States. And it developed the most advanced missile system in the world at present. Traditionally, traditionally kasi ang missiles, kwan lang yan, we have the ballistic, no? The ballistic and the cruise missile, they are both ICBMs, but they differ only on what propel them, no? Yung cruise missiles use jet engines, while the ballistic missiles use yung rocket, no? Usually, ang missile kasi, tataas ka sa above the atmosphere and gets its target, babalusok yan. It will go ballistic. nag-innovate ang China po dyan eh. They develop what we call the hypersonic glide. Tataas yan above the atmosphere. It can linger in the atmosphere. When it gets its target, babalusok yan, pero hindi kaagad sa target, no? Tatago yan sa terrain. It will assume the cruise missile capability. Magka-glide yan to avoid detection before it hits the target. So yun ang advance ng missile system ng China. The second, they were able to copy the fourth generation fighter jets of the West. They have their own F-50 version. Nanakaw nila yan sa nag-manufacture, no?
Actually, ang sinasabi ni Manong Levy, hindi nagnakaw eh. Deliberate yung ginawa ng mga Israeli sa Americans doon. Ang nagbigay ng technology sa China ay itong mga Amerikano rin. You see, it's all crisis by design. Kaya akala ng China, talagang malakas na malakas na sila. Without them knowing na yung kanilang ginawa ay kaya i-paralyze ng mga puti. And we have to remember yung sinabi eh. Kasi ang malaking problema, hindi natin nakikita yung laro sa taas eh. Na ultimo, remember, yumaman ang China during the time of Deng Xiaoping. And Deng Xiaoping made a statement na alam niya na gano'n na mangyari. Dahil remember, yung mga, just like here, kung nakita nyo yung mga dating walang-wala, pag nakahawak ng pera, ay talagang napakaramo. They're so greedy. Ngayon, ganyan din ang naging problema ngayon sa China. Wherein, yung dating wala, in-expose na sila corrupt, nagpamalinis ngayon, just like itong si Xi Jinping. That was the reason, nagkaroon ng anti-corruption campaign si Xi Jinping nung pinagbibintangan na yung pamilya niya ay siyang #1 corrupt sa China. And Deng Xiaoping was correct in his statement he made at the United Nations way back in April 10, 1974 when he said, ito sasabi ko, nasa internet ito. If one day China should change her color and turn into a superpower, if she too should play the tyrant in the world, and everywhere subject others to her bullying, aggression and exploitation, the people of the world should identify her as social imperialism. Expose it, oppose it, and work together with the Chinese people to overthrow it. Ang liwanag na sinabi niya. Kaya yun din na reason why Xi Jinping needs war to unite the Chinese. Kundi, nag-overheat na yung kanilang economy, ang laki ng problema, hindi lumalabas ang mga pahayagan at so, wala ng trabaho yung marapakaraming tao sa China. Saka lahat ng mga data na nilalabas ng China ay puro mga manipulated. Ngayon, lumalabas na. Look what happened to the BRICS. Wala na. Yung India, nasa puti na. Not only the American side, but the West itself. South Africa, kabog na. Dahil wala nang maipapondo ang China na dati tumutulong sa mga South African nations. And also in the Middle East. Kaya ang daming problema. Ang problema natin dito, we're not getting our act together. Plus, our local Chinese has a big problem too. Despite na maraming young Chinoys na I've been talking with, ay talagang sila ay pro-Filipino dahil nakita na they've been to US, China, Macau, Taiwan, Hong Kong. Hindi naman sila kinikilalang Chinese sila from there. Kaya sabi nila, bakit kami papayag pagka nag-take over ng China dito, second class citizen kami. Sabi ko, correct. Not only that. Ang laban na ngayon, hindi baka ng barilan. Isang bala lang tayo, one isa lang. Lahat tayo, collateral damage kayo. And at the same time, ito pala mga buti lang, we have several Chinoys here sa room, no? Ay, dami. Dami yun, sa likod. Ngayon, ang problema dito, kaya gusto ko rin malaman ng mga kamag-anak mo dyan. na yung mga young Chinoy, sinasabi sa akin, alam mo, Eric, ang problema namin yung mga parents namin. Ang yaman namin, either yaman galing sa kabutihan, good or bad, still yaman, nag-benefit kami. So, kailangan, alagaan namin yung yaman na yan na galing sa mga poor parents namin, pinaghirapan nila. Yan ang reason, hindi sila makahiwalay sa mga ethnic parents nila. So, kaya, dapat intindihin natin sila. Pero, sa atin yung mga tatlo, sa mga kinakausap ko mga young Chinoy. Pero, when it comes to trouble, Pilipino kami. Kaya lang, hindi sila makapagsalita because of this commitment to their parents. So, masyadong malalim ang laro. We really have to be aware about these things. Dahil, lalo-lalo na ngayon na may mga young officers na mukhang meron nag-aalaga, waiting for the proper time. Ayokong mangyari yung nangyari sa Indonesia, sa Malaysia, na magpapatayan yung Chinese sa Pilipino, despite na sila ay Pilipino na. Nakaporma ito. Hindi is na joke, hindi ako nabibiro. Kung tayo nakita natin yung paano minanipulate yung panahon ni Marcos na ganun ng RAM, na ngayon kita mo yung ilan, sumasama pa kay Bongbong. Walang self-respect. Tama? Nandun kagabi sa inauguration ng building ng campaign na building ni Bongbong. Ultimo nga si JPE, hindi niya ngayon malaman kung siya kay Bongbong o kay Gringo na nagpapakamatay sa kanya nung EDSA 1. So, inaanak pa niya. So, doon makikita na you cannot really trust the politicians. Sorry ha. Hindi ka pa naman politician eh. Biglang malaman.
Traditional politician.
Ayun, traditional politician. O, JB.
Sir, good morning po, attorney. Kung sakali, di ba, alam naman natin walang kakayanan ng Pilipinas para mag-decision for that. Actually, meron tayong mga buzzer. Sa palagay niyo po ba, ang Pilipinas ay maipagtatanggol na sinasabing ng mga puti? O baka naman pinaglalaroan din tayo at maaaring kakampirin nila ang kabilang side?
Wala pong kapalit na we have to rely on our own strengths. No?
Correct.
Let us not rely on other countries to defend us. There's no such thing as an international police nowadays. No? Hindi kagaya po ng kung ikaw may pumasok sa bahay mo, pwede kang magsumbong sa police. Pwede po yun. Pero sa international community, kung meron isang bansa sumugod sa'yo, wala kang pagsusumbungan eh. O, kasi pantay kayo, no? And remember our experience na after World War II, dapat magbayad ang China at Japan sa atin for reparations, no? Pero ano po ang nangyari? Ang tagal na pinayaran tayo, pinaliit pa ng pinaliit, at inuna pa nga ang mga hiningi ng US sa Japan kaysa ang Pilipinas. No? Tayo yung hinulit lang, no? So, mas maganda po na we rely on our own strengths. And what can we do? We can continue building alliances militarily, no? Okay, US, Japan, Vietnam, and even India dapat. India ang strategic na military partner natin. And second, let us begin the bilateral talks. As I said, the bilateral talks can assure both parties of China, it can be assured of the continued uninterrupted supply of energy coming from this practice should China respect our ownership of this practice to provide us. And alam niyo po, ang isang pag-isipan natin ulit yung citizen military training natin.
Yan ang worst.
Yun nga.
So, ginawang optional po kasi, no?
ROTC.
Oo, yung ROTC. Ako, I am a product of the ROTC program.
Reservist.
Kami,
Sa UP Vanguard ROTC po ako, no? UP ROTC. So, alam mo, ang training ko sa amin sa UP Vanguard, if this country ever goes to war, we are willing to leave behind our families just to fight the war. Ganun po ang orientation sa amin. And because we adopted a policy of optional military training, it is saying as if that the defense of our country is also optional. Because how can you defend your country if you do not even know how to handle or fire a gun? No? Optional. So, I believe that the NSTP law is unconstitutional. Pero because of the short-sighted views of two legislators before, no, hindi ko na sasabihin yung pangalan ng dalawang senador na yon, eh ginawa nilang optional ang ROTC.
Galit sila sa
Galit sila sa...
Hindi galit sa meron nagbigay sa kanila ng idea na yun. Alam mo yan ganyan, meron lobby money yan. Look what happened to us. Wala tayong preparedness. Hindi natin anticipated yung mga repercussion ng mga ganap.
Hindi, pwede sabihin lang kung sino yung dalawang senador para hindi na namin
Parang hindi na namin yan. Oo, sabihin mo na. Salbahe sila.
Yung isa ay pana.
Wala na.
Tingog na.
Left us already. He went ahead to the next world.
Okay.
Yung isa, nandito pa. Pero
Sino?
you can check the NSDP law who authored it. Nandiyan naman. Nandiyan naman yung authorship.
Can you please
Pero if ever po na halimbawa mapalitan, may bago na naman tayong gobyerno, pwede po bang ibalik yung mga nangawala na talagang kailangan natin? In what way?
Ano po yung mga nangawala? Halimbawa yung mandatory
ROTC, yes, mandatory
yung
kasama
mandatory
sa pag-aaral.
citizen military training.
C-18.
Oo. Actually, dapat ibalik natin yan, ano? Ang nag-o-oppose lang naman dyan is yung mga makakaliwa eh. Dahil they feared, ang issue nila noon was up-based militarization. No?
Yan.
Dito nila ko rin.
Sige, sir.
I'd like to acknowledge the arrival of Boy Evangelista of BACC, the president of BACC. Nabibit mabot ka, partner. Sige, tuloy mo muna. Tapusin mo na daw.
Kailangan talaga ibalik, no? Yung mandatory citizen military.
Sa Congress po pa idadaan yan o sa Senado?
Pareho yan, no? Again, sabi kasi sa Constitution, a citizen may be required to render actual military service. So how can you render actual military service kung hindi mo man lang natutunan ang humawak ng baril? Correct? And ang Pilipinas lang ang one of only 2 countries in the world na walang mandatory citizen military training. Kaya po nawawala na yung nationalism, patriotism, because the ROTC program was the only subject, national inspo, that teaches patriotism, love of country, defense of country. No? Palagay ko yan ang primal obligation of a citizen to defend his or her country. Pero tinanggal po nila yung kapasidad natin.
Sir, naniniwala po ba kayo na sa kasalukuyan, ilan po sa mga military men natin, like policemen, example lang po, ang ilan po pala sa kanila hindi pa nakapagpapaputok ng baril. They have the gun, but they never use it. Kahit sa firing, hindi sila marunong. So, anong mangyayari kung sakali pag ganito yung ating mga enforcers?
Para sa pagdepensa ng ating bansa?
Opo.
Ang meron tayong tinatawag na meron first, second, third generation warfare, no? Nag-e-evolve kasi ang sistema ng warfare. Ang United States ngayon is in the what we call the fourth generation warfare already. That's why the United States divided its armed forces into a smaller portion called the Leviathan Force that delivers the military capability of the US. And a bigger portion of its armed forces is now named the System Force Administration. Dahil sa ngayon kasi asymmetrical na, no? May nuclear power pero meron pa rin behind, no? Tayo, pang-guerrilla lang tayo. Ang bansa natin, because of the archipelagic nature of our country, we cannot prevent any invasion, but we can repel it. And we can repel it if our citizens are trained to fight. They are given martial skills to defend our country. Eh yan po ang tinanggal sa atin ng NSTP.
Maraming salamat po.
Okay, if I give it to Stuart, I would like to introduce our friend here. Si Boy Evangelista. Boy Evangelista. Yeah, go ahead. You first. Yeah.
The main issue with China has a gun that can shoot, we believe it's 4,000 kilometers and hit a moving target with a 1 to 3 meter accuracy. That means it can take out the whole U.S. aircraft carrier force within a 4,000 kilometer, 8,000 radius. But the real issue here is China is really creeping, slowly creeping. They cannot get into a war. Because if they get into a war, and the shipping lanes close, and the factories close, and the money flow stops, the Chinese government will be overthrown by the Taipans. So the end result here is, we talk about war, we will see a potential skirmish. We'll see little bug bite things. But we will not see a war, because the financial system will collapse completely. So everyone has to really look at what is the end game, and the end game has got to be compromised. He was speaking Tagalog and English, and I pick up here and there. But I think what you were saying was the same thing I was discussing earlier. Post-war policy was to shut off all of the non-Aramco countries from access to their resources. And now Russia and China and everyone, and even the South China Sea, all of these resources have been locked up, except for Brunei and what Malaysia has gotten in the Dutch East Indies and all the other different things. It's about being able to harvest and all, and not having the stranglehold that's happening on this. But keep in mind that a lot of this stuff is really subterfuge. In Vietnam, remember what Vietnam did? Vietnam employs 10,000 mosquito defense. They throw in every one of their guys in little tiny boats around that thing, and they won't stop. The Vietnamese people won't stop, but everyone should be looking more towards an end game where everyone is really getting along and looking at the division of all these different things. One thing that you need to look at, and you were talking about the BRICS, there's an alliance between China and Pakistan, and it is real. Okay, we believe that the Gwadar thing is not real. Okay, we believe that Baluchistan is being exacerbated with a separatist movement by everyone. But the real game is Lahore, Karachi, being built by Russia. And they are going to cut off almost 75% of all of the container miles, everything to the east, from Shanghai and everything else going to Europe. It's all going to go through by, we think, 2019. CPEC is going to go through Karachi, not Baluchistan, and stay in. And that is the single biggest issue in the entire world today, is lessening, cutting off. You're saving 75% of all of your container miles. The ships being mothballed all over the place. It's going to cut. The traffic is going to be, instead of 40 days or 35 days, it's going to be 10 days to Europe. It's a whole dynamic across everything else. But a lot of your points are valid. But you really are looking at some sort of equilibrium that is going to come out of all of this, and not a war.
I would like to remind our friends here that not all those who talk are really the enemies of the state. Just like North Korea and Pakistan. We thought all the while that they're the enemies of the West, but they're not. They're being used by these people to sell their arms. Okay? So we really have to be aware about these things. If not, wala. We'll be confused by these leaders who pretend to be an enemy but they're not. Okay? So, okay. Let's go to Boy. My good friend. Nana Senator Colon. Congratulations ha. Nakasama ka sa survey. Okay. Si Boy Bangisa. Condolence Boy sa pagkamatay ni Calauno. No? The former past president of the BACC. At the same time, there's so many issues na alam ko na medyo nakakambaka rin dito, especially now na sa Muntinlupa, sa Bilibid Prison, ay panglabit siyang yata yung nilaraid ng nila General Cruz. Hindi nauubos eh. Bakit hindi nila subukan na i-pinpoint? Paano, kung kailang panahon na ikat na itaw yung mga kubol na yan? Silang habulin ng ating gobyerno na hindi katulad ng nangyayari ngayon eh, mo hirap na hirap tayong maglinis. Samantala kung alam natin kung sino yung nakaupo na yan ng panahon na naitayo yung mga kubol yan, tapos na. Okay? And at the same time, kanina meron din ako tinext sa'yo na isang issue gusto ko rin sagutin mo. Sige, go ahead.
Tama po yun, hello? Tama po yun, yung culture of corruption inside the New Bilibid Prison is clear at nakikita po natin ito for the longest time. I salute General Raymond Cruz. Siya ang nag-initiate ito, yung Oakland Beluga number 19, series 19, for the longest time. But then it was also started by Secretary Lima, kababaeng tao niya. Siya yung nagpatuloy po nito before she opened for anyway, itong culture of impunity dito sa makikita natin talaga dito yung corruption, yung present corruption na dito po natin makikita yung 5 pillars of justice dito sa ating bansa is not really worthy 100%. Yung police investigation, yung penology in particular, saka yung judiciary. So nakakalungkot, ito yung main issue now is yung Bilibid Prison, ang alam naman po nyo, yung pumatay sa anak ko at yung Dominguez Carnapping Group, si Raymond Dominguez is inside the New Bilibid Prison and still he can command people outside of the New Bilibid Prison. Last November 11, napatay po si Judge Nieves, Wilfredo Nieves. Sino ba si Judge Wilfredo Nieves? Isa siyang RTC judge sa Malolos. Siya po yung nagbigay ng promulgation conviction kay Raymond Dominguez for 30 years maximum. So, si Judge Nieves, siya po yung judge, dito nyo makikita, inambush siya last November 11, last year, just before the event, na kung saan ito total gun ban, pero yun. Tapos itong Region 3, PNP, PPO, Bulacan, office, may na-aresto sila na isang suspect na suspect, ang name is John Ras. Okay. Ang issue po dito is arrested isang ito yung arrested person na to, gumawa ng extrajudicial confession admitting he is one of the gunman who conspired together with Raymond Dominguez and 3 other killers. So, nag-confess po siya. Gumawa po siya ng extrajudicial confession assisted by a lawyer in front of the PPO Bulacan leadership that includes the RD, Regional Director, Provincial Director ng Bulacan. So, hindi ho ba common sense will tell us, I go to you, magpo-confess ako sa iyo, assisted by a lawyer. Kakampi ko na ho kayo, hindi ho ba? I could be admitted as one of, I could qualify as a witness I can qualify to be included sa witness, accepted sa witness protection program. So kakampi ko na po kayo, common sense, hindi ako mga agaw na pa rin. So ito, okay. After confessing, gumawa siya extrajudicial confession on the way to San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. Nang agaw daw siya ng barel, together with 5 escorts, nakaposas po siya. Okay. So, on the way. So, ngayon, on the way, pag makikita mo, it's a conspiracy between the men in uniform.
Liwanag yun.
Napakaliwanag, ano? So, ang masakit po nito, last Monday ata or Tuesday, lumabas sa bulletin na yung leadership ng ng Region 3 binigyan ng award yung mga police na nag-escort sa kanya. Tapos, kinilig na ang issue dito, is it moral, proper, and legal to accept the 1 million reward by the police for the early solution of killing, for the killing of Judge Wilfredo Nieves? Is it moral and legal? Under the PNP booklet, sa pagkaalam ko, you are not supposed to accept cash donations or reward money from kahit NGO pa galing yan or kahit kanino. Because magkakaroon po ng conflict of interest. And second, it will encourage yung bounty hunters, no? Na yung bounty hunting. Pangatlo po, it is subject also for abuse by policemen, no? Or yung sila, operating units, kukuha sila ng isang fall guy, kukuha sila ng isang false informant, gagawa sila. Ang tawag po namin nga dito, yung tawag nila dito is lagaring hapon, no? May accomplishment ka sa early solution ng isang high-profile case. Then, yung second, accomplishment nila, yung reward money, nakakuha pa sila, yung material gain. So, pangatlo, actually, hindi nga double dito, 3 cantos. Then, nakakuha sila ng reward money from the yung mga tinuturo ng confess, which is the Dominguez brothers. So, 3 cantos to, tatlo, killing 3 birds in 1 stone. Di ba ho? Yun ang issue. Kaya sino pang ako tao lang ako. Minsan natatakot ako sa laro po nila. Ang lalim ng laro nila. Ngayon, hindi ko na alam kung sino kausap ko. From Region 3, ito mismo, mga Mistrella. This is not a
conspiracy going on.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy. Kaya nga po, ito ang pronouncement ng PNP, you can check now. Tinanggal nila yung OCGS. Ano ho ba yung OCGS? Organized Crime Groups. Dinowngrade nila sa CGS, crime groups na lang. Wala raw nag-i-exist na organized crime groups dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya po, ang Armed Forces, in particular, yung Intelligence Service of the Philippines, which is ISAP, yung mga operating unit po niya, nag-detach na sila simply because of yung bagong ginawa ng PNP na tinanggal na nila yung O. Wala nang organized. Who is for organized crime groups? Which saddens us, no? Kami, ako, I collect data sa lahat ng information sa different agencies. By the way, ako po, technical working group sa PAO, Highway Patrol Group, under oath ako sa Internal Affairs Service, Advisory Council ng Southern Police District. Kaya, and yung DAP, yung Development Academy of the Philippines, nag-technical working group ako doon, lahat. So, ako BACC ako, pero I'm the official spokesman po ngayon. Pero ako, alam naman ni Eric yan, pare. Sabi mo, yung MISG.
Sama mo siya sa MISG.
Tatlong chief PNP ang galing doon sa MISG para makita lang yung una, yung si Bigote, si Jess Sosa, kakausap pa rin kami ngayon, Raul Bacalso, at si Ping Lacson. Yun ang grupo natin noon, na ako noon, batang-bata, civilian, civilian agent. Alam mo, nangyari pa sa anak ko yan. Alam mo, siguro it's destiny. Sabi nga ni Bacalso, it's a good thing. Si Raul Bacalso then is the chief PNP, kaya natulungan niya ako. Nirelieve niya lahat yan. Properly identified kung sino involved sa carnapping dito sa Pilipinas. Sino ba ang mga carnapping personalities sa Pilipinas? Nasa Blue Book yan, nakigris ko yan, pinadusistepum ni Senator Tito Soto na ilabas. Yun pala ang rules doon, correct me if I'm wrong, napupunta sa lower chamber, then si Senate President can only sign for that warrant of ducis tecum, no? Para sa Blue Book. Nakamatayan yan. We lost a golden opportunity on the death of the then DILG Secretary
Robredo.
Nakamatayan niya. Nandun yung Blue Book at sinabi na press conference yan way back February 2011.
Ang dami na walang dokumento kay Jesse.
2011. Nandun yung pangalan ng tatlong general.
Pati yung mga connected sa mga drugs saka sa gambling.
So bakit? Ngayon nandito, kinausap ko si Grace that time nung nagkaroon ako ng opportunity, pati yung staff niya, Sir, it's not working, nasa lower house. Nasa lower chamber. Hindi ko na masyadong ganyan, pero yun ang pagkapaliwanag. Sign lang ni Senate President Drilon para ma-search sa DILG at makuha yun. At inamin, sumagot ang DILG dito na nasa kanila yung Blue Book. Doon yung makikita lahat ng attached agencies, implementing agencies, even right at the doorstep of Malacanang, may mga kasama doon. May tatamaan dito. Sino ba yung nasa Ngayon, you can bet, yun kasi raw, election period.
Si Rico Bono ngayon, naki-brace na nga
Yeah. Alam mo, yun, now, I'm crying, I'm still grieving for my son. Alam mo, sabi nga, ang tapak mo. Sabi ko, parang hindi man ako matapak Kaya lang pag ganito ang laro sa Region 3, medyo nakatatakot Pivot press cantos, kaliwat kanan. Buti nga alam natin pare sa MISG doon, left right lang Pero ganun din kalalim that time. Pero, alam mo, ako, I'm ready to go kasi 59 years old na ako. Pwede na. Pero somebody has to face this Kaya ito, alam mo, nagsubok ako kay Senate Sarmiento. Napakaganda, sabot ka agad siya after. Sumagot siya, 2 minutes. Merong yung tinext ko sa group. Ang haba lang ito, pero kung gusto mo, pwede kong basahin ko ano sinagot ng RD doon. So, i-allow nyo ako. Okay, ang haba kasi. Itong sagot, ito yung ni Senate Sarmiento. You explain bakit ng agaw ng baril. Vinolate nyo yung rules of engagement. Nakaposas ka, mga agaw ka ba? Common sense will tell you, that's suicide. Tapos nakabackup pa yung mga pulis na marami. Di ba, nag-confess ka. Nakampinto na kayo Okay. Ito ang sagot ng RD. As far as we are concerned, Judge Nieves' case was already solved because we have identified those behind the ambush slaying of the judge and have filed criminal charges based on the extrajudicial confession of Hanoras, one of the gunmen. The 1 million is not from the PNP funds and was given to an informant of Bulacan PPO. Okay. We made it appear that it was received by Bulacan PPO so as not to expose the informant. Tingin po ako doon. Di ba yung marami tayong na-witness na mini-media pero fully covered. Correct. Pero doon sa news item nila na na-covered, yung sila ang nag-receive, yung Bulacan Provincial Office, para itago nila. Wala silang dinutang na So, alam mo, yung questionable, saka yung perception or public opinion will tell us na sinong bumulsa. Okay. Hindi ganon. Tapos, we made it appear it was received by Bulacan. Para bang pinalabas lang nila, we made it appear. Tapos, including his family. Because of on Hanoras' death, kasi yung issue gusto kong kalkalin, we want the truth kung sino talaga ang pumatay kay Judge, On Hanoras' death, when he tried to grapple for his escort firearm, criminal mind is unpredictable rather than logical. Yun ang sabi nila. Okay. Grappling for police firearm is common to criminals. Common daw to criminals. And the police must assert their authority and defend themselves. Nevertheless, we still filed administrative charges against Hanora's escorts in order to find out if there was negligence on their part. The case is still pending resolution with the Regional Internal Affairs Service. On the end, as Regional Director, I used to give awards, incentives to my men who perform well in their job, especially when they neutralize a dangerous criminal. The reward money, as I said, is not from a government or PNP fund, sir. The case has been raffled in RTC Bulacan. Once the warrant is issued, I will set a tracker team to hunt down the remaining suspects. That's the reply of PNP Regional Director General Lacadin, addressed to the ILG Peter Corbera.
Eloy, alam mo, siguro, kumuha ng movie director nila Eloy Padua yan. Ang galing sa script.
Yeah. But then, yung sa politika, yung congressman naman, hindi naman katulad ni Sammy Pagdilaw, si Albano, sinabi ni Congressman Albano, kung nabasa mo sa news, sabi niya, it's a wrap out. Ganun kasimple, si Sammy Pagdilaw, sinabi niya, ang daming violations dito. Ang issue po dito, it's not for PNP to receive reward money, kasi it will encourage bounty hunting. Ngayon, yung Phylon Research Team, sinasabi nga nila, nag-ano sila, yung sino isang policeman na sikat ito, di ba pelikula buhay, The Bounty Hunter. Hindi, Aqua. Oo. It will encourage, paano yung mga selected or yung wala naman talagang pagbigay na reward money? Paano yun? So ito, saka it will encourage, din talaga, yung they go after, yung may mga reward monies lang, yung top 10 or katulad ng kaso ni Marwan, ilang milyon yun. Kaya ganun ang interest nila. Even, sino ba naging informant doon? Yung close friend ni Marwan mismo na laging nakasama. Question, di ba?
Yun din ang pumatay
Di ba? Sabi nila.
Siya talaga.
Oo. Saka, yun nga. Kasi dyan, ang nakarataman dyan, you get like, kunyari, 1 million yung reward, ito yung 20,000 sa'yo, ikaw lang ang pamalutangin natin as the informant. Ako yung case ko, itong case ko ay si General Espina made an offer of 500,000 for the capture of yung dalawang wanted na pumatay sa anak ko. Nakuha yun because of the informant. Pero yun talagang legal yun, totoo yun. Kasi because ako nakatutok ako doon na in-over pa ng investigador yun, yung sa Taal, Las Piñas, nakuha. So ang reward system is really very effective as a tool to run after yung mga wanted persons, ganito, it's a tool. But then it is always subject for abuse. Katulad dito, ako hindi mo mapapaniwala. Kaya alam mo, natatakot din ako anytime. Tapos tinanggalan pa ako ng security lahat. Ngayon, bira ako ng bira, nakikita mo sa news. Talagang sinasabi ko, isa rabaw, wala somebody has to face them somebody has to stand up.
Kasi wala ka sa manang guardian angel mo.
Yun sana nga.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Sorry, nagiging emotional din ako kasi
much time, pero bigyan natin ng pagkakataon itong ating kasama na sa survey itong ating kaibigan. At binabanggit ng DCR yesterday. Nasa top 20. Bigyan mo ako ng feedback sa'yo. Larry, paano mo ginawa yun?
Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. Salamat kaibigan Eric. Ako man ay nagulat sa performance ng aking rating. Considering that I am totally new in politics, and the only reason why I'm joining this exercise is that I am reminded of the philosophy of Plato, that the penalty for not participating in politics is that you will be governed by your inferiors, which is true. Reklamo tayo ng reklamo na hindi magaling si incompetent si Noynoy, incompetent yung mga cabinet secretaries, yung mga kung sino-sino dyan. But the trouble is we're not really participating in the governance, no? So nangyayari, yung mga bobo, mga napupunta dyan, yung mga hindi talaga qualified. So, kagaya namin ni Atty. Eli Paniero, no? Marunong kami. Yan ang reason talaga eh. Sa palagay ko naman, hindi ito pagyayabang. Sa tingin ko naman, mas may kakayahan naman ako maglingkod. Maging senador, maging mambabatas, kaysa naman dun sa iba na dahil lang na sikat na artista, sikat na basketball player, ganyan, saan na napunta ang ating political maturity? Kaya ang nangyari dito sa Pilipinas talaga, sobrang backward. Alam niyo, pagka ako nag-abroad, nakikita ko, no, halos maiyak ako sa awa sa ating bansa. Yung ating transportation system, lahat talaga, sobrang backward na tayo. At ano ang dahilan nito? Ito pa isang dahilan kung bakit gusto kong tumakbo. Gusto kong iwasto ang kasaysayan. Na, bakit tayo merong problema sa DAP? Bakit tayo merong problema sa incompetence ng ating mga officials? Bakit tayo may problema sa kakulangan sa infrastruktura, sa public transport system? Lahat, maraming problema. Kasi we elected an incompetent president. Diyan nag-uumpisa yan eh. Pagka ang presidente mo hindi marunong, lahat yan maaalagwa. Lahat yan masisira. Kahit pa ba gano'ng kagaling yung mga cabinet secretaries. Kasi marami naman sa mga cabinet secretaries marunong din eh, magaling din. Kaya lang, hindi naman sila makagalaw ng gusto kasi yung presidente mismo incompetent eh. Oh. Eh ngayon, ang reason lang naman kung bakit siya na-elect, eh dahil kasi anak lang siya ni Ninoy at ni Cory. Yan ang pinagpipilit ako. Yan ang dahilan kung bakit tumaas ang rating ko. Minumulat ko sa mga tao na dapat pigilan na natin ang pagiging ignorante at tanga at pagiging sunod-sunuran dito sa Yellow Press at saka sa Evil Society.
Tore, parang yung sabihin, bobo si Pinoy.
Talaga naman bobo siya.
Pwede ko ikaw na rin.
I-court mo ako. Wala naman sa sa malalaman eh. Ano ba naman, kahit naman diba si Enrile, sinasabi ni Enrile, the worst president we ever had. Ngayon, ganito. Kaya lang na-elect siya na president is because he is the son of Ninoy and Cory. At maling paniniwala ang mga tao na si Ninoy ay hero at si Cory ay santa. Yan ay kamalian, sobrang kamalian yan, sobrang pagsisinungaling ang ginawa sa atin. Ginawa tayong tanga ng Yellow Press at ng Evil Society. Bakit kanyo? Si Ninoy, siya ang founder, kasama siya ng founder ng NPA. Siya ang nag-facilitate ng meeting between Bernardo Skyno and Joma Sison. Kaya nabuo ang New People's Army. Bilyong-bilyong piso na ang nagamit niya sa gera ng NPA at saka ng mga Philippine government military gas. Kasi wala naman sa isa yan, binobola lang sila ni Joma. Wala na dapat yung ano na yan, nabuo na yan during the time of President Marcos. Ano ang ginawa ni Cory? Pinakawalan niya si Joma at si Buscaino. Dahil kasi nawarningan nila si Joma, si Ninoy, nabobombahin yung Plaza Miranda, kaya wala siya roon. Kaya dapat imbestigahan niya kung ano ang kinalaman doon ni Ninoy. Ngayon, si Ninoy din ang nagpa-impento ng Japita Massacre. Dapat sana napakayaman na ng Pilipinas. Dapat sana tayong nakikinabang sa langis at sa natural resources ng Sabah. Dahil talaga namang atin yan, historically. Nagbabayad nga rin ng renta dyan ng Malaysia eh. Atin naman talaga yan. Kaya lang, bakit? Ano ginawa ni Ninoy? Nagpa-invento siya ng kwento kay Teddy Boy Locsin. Inutusan niya si Teddy Boy Locsin na mag-invento ng kwento tungkol sa Japita Massacre. Para lang wag matuloy ang plano ni Presidente Marcos na sakupin ng Sabah peacefully, mag-establish ng educational system, government system, mag-exercise ng sovereignty doon sa lugar na yan. Pero hindi natuloy yan dahil sa kapahamakan na ginawa ni Ninoy. Ngayon, tatawagin mo bang hero yan? Hindi. Kaya dapat wag na tayong magmanatiling mangmang at tanga at ignorante, wag na tayong magpaloko. Turuan yung inyong pamilya, kapitbahay, kasamahan, kaklase. Wag na tayong magpaloko sa Yellow Army na yan. Wag na tayong magpaka-ignorante para ma-attain natin ang totoong political maturity.
Okay, tama yung sasabi ni Atty. Gadon dahil wala naman there's no such word as Japita. Ang talagang plan was Merdeka. Okay? Kaya doon makikita lahat. And at the same time, bakit pa ngayon ay naka-take over ngayon ng mga cronies and dummies ni Marcos? Eh yung Kamag-anak Incorporated nasa off-touch eh. Tanyang from 4 pesos to $1 nung pumasok si Marcos. Nung lumabas si Marcos, 21 pesos per dollar. And the worst, yung mga cronies ni Marcos, pumasok sa company ni Cory at previous governments. Look what happened, magkano kayo ng peso natin. Yung magnanakaw, ninakawan. Pagkatapos ngayon, piyesta itong mga cronies na ngayon, they are in control of all, basically, big business in this country. Kaya yung anak na adik ay nagpapanggap ang malinis, magpa-blood test ka. Bongbong, magpa-blood test ka, Bongbong. Independent group ang magpa-blood test sa'yo para malaman natin kung talagang ikaw ay hindi ka adik. Okay? Yan, naka-video tayo ngayon. So, sige, last 2 questions, sige.
Tony, pinagsabanggit mo ngayon na pumasok ka sa survey, hindi ka ba nagbayad? Para pumasok ka?
Ako po ay walang pera. Sa totoo lang, even my campaign materials ay dinonate lamang ng aking mga kaibigan. Ang aking mga stickers ay pinagawa ni dating Pangulong Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Yung aking mga posters ay pinagawa din niya at ng iba kong kaklase. Wala po akong ginagastos yan. Dahil unang-una, wala naman po ako talagang pera. Hindi po ako mayaman. Yun nga ang gusto kong iset na trend. Dapat hikayatin natin ang ating mga kababayan na merong kakayahan maglingkod na makilahok sa politika. Ito na ang panahon para baguhin natin ang political culture. Huwag kang matakot na makilahok. Hindi porkit ikaw ay hindi artista o anak ng politiko o mayaman, wala ka ng karapatan na magsalita o lumahok sa politika. Ito na lang isang example. Nakakatuwa itong nangyari sa akin, kahit hindi ako manalo. Na-prove ko yung point ko. Na kahit hindi ako mayaman, hindi ako artista, hindi ako basketball player, hindi ako anak ng isang sikat na politiko. Pumasok ako sa mataas na survey. Dahil kasi, ang pinapakita ko lang sa kanila, meron akong karunungan at meron akong tapat na hangarin na magsilbi sa bayan. Meron akong magandang agenda, lalo na sa edukasyon at sa pagbibigay ng trabaho. Meron akong concrete solution. Ang ibang kandidato, nagsasabi lamang na kailangan merong trabaho. Paano mo gagawin yan? Ako meron akong concrete solution dyan na kaya mong gawin. Sapagkat ako, meron akong experience as executive. Presidente ako ng isang malaking kumpanya. Vice President ako ng 2 malaking kumpanya. Director ako ng 7 korporasyon. Kayang-kaya kong mag-manage ng business. Kayang-kaya kong lagyan ng solusyon ang mga problema. Yan ang kakulungan ng ibang mga kandidato. In fact, nalampasan ko ang mga sikat na mga kongresista ngayon, incumbent congressmen na tumatakbong senador. Nilampasan ko sila ng malayo sa survey. Nakakapagtataba ng puso. At alam ko yan ay dahil na rin sa tulong ninyo. Maraming salamat sa inyo.
With that, I would like to, wala na tayo kasi time, kasi meron gagamit itong room,
Sige po.
I don't have much time today, and I hope by next week, habaan natin. At I'd like to thank our guest, Boy Evangelista, Manong Levi Baligod, at si Atty. Larry Gadon. At kasi na kayo, overtime na tayo ng 15 minutes actually. Pero anyway, thank you rin. Sayang nyo lahat. Yung mga gusto mag-interview pa, pwede pa naman dito. Manong Levi, Boy, alam ko, interview pa kayo ni Eden.
Nice to see you again, sir.